After Nadia, The Secret of Blue Water, Hideaki Anno fell into a 4-year bout of depression, after which he would bless the world with Neon Genesis Avon. After a 1-month hiatus from YouTube, I'm going to bless my small audience with a review of a very niche indie game called Misery. Sometimes you gotta let that wine age for a little bit longer. This is definitely the mom, can we buy Stalker? And your mom says, no, we have Stalker at home kind of game. It's $10 and can literally be run by a drunk dwarf on a treadmill inside your PC tower. Like many other who have played this game, I would describe this game as having the gameplay loop of Lethal Company and Fallout in a Stalker-like setting. The very core of the gameplay is to gather resources, often pieces of junk, and bring them back to your bunker to craft items to further expand your bunker and gather more resources. A perfect gameplay loop for a magpie with Asperger's. But I'm not here to self-diagnose through my bad analogies. I'm here to tell you why I fucking love this game and what I would like to see in future updates. I'm also making this video to convince my friends to buy this game so I would have someone to play with. But before we get into the video, please like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. So the main reason why I like this game is just the gameplay loop itself. You know, you start out with nothing, usually a melee weapon and some sort of jacket. These items can be collected in a minigame at the beginning of the run where you have 60 seconds to gather gear in a house before a countdown, presumably before a nuke goes off. But as you start to get better gear, you can slowly gather more items to expand your bunker, craft, and go to more restricted and dangerous areas where the risk and reward is much higher. You're usually given around 20 minutes to explore a level before a shining event, which is similar to a blowout or a mission from Stalker, where you must take shelter, but in the case of Misery, you have to return to your bunker or the Cesarez. Speaking of Stalker, many of the aspects of this game is similar to Stalker, such as anomalies, collecting artifacts, mutants, bandits, zombies, and just the general sense of post-Soviet depression. You know, once utopic socialist society just sits in abandoned and tainted with radiation and lawlessness. While you're out gathering resources, you have to manage your inventory. The two main constraints being how much you can carry and the bulkiness of the items. You have to prioritize what will be most useful to you in the long run versus the resources you immediately need. You must make these decisions before the shining begins at the end of the level run, which is announced through blaring air raid sirens, and your vision starts becoming black and white. So the objective is to bring as many resources back as possible before the shining, which is best done through a large inventory and multiple trips, but remember, do not get too greedy. The zone will punish you for greed. Now that you have all these resources, what do you do with them? Well, as already mentioned, expand your bunker. You can craft certain workstations, which gives you more resources and structures to play with, which can require more electricity to your base. Another place where you can use your collected junk is, of course, to sell them to the merchants at the Cesarez. Another reason why I love Misery so much is it's a cozy game. I mean, Misery is a dead and empty world where you can freely explore. It just so happens this dead and empty world is located in Eastern Europe. If you've played games like Stalker, Metro, Escape from Tarkov, or even the Fallout and Long Dark, you will understand. At the end of the world, everything is bleak, but a small comfort / victory you can achieve towards your survival, to me, it's cozy. Whether it be starting a fire, foraging for food and materials, or getting electricity for the first time, it is most satisfying. Not to mention, there's just something therapeutic about organizing your inventory and storage in your bunker. I think it's because you just put all these items you risk life and limb for to acquire in large quantities into neat organized rows. It just gives you a sense of accomplishment. Also, you can just make your base as homely as you like. This kind of reminds me of the safe rooms in the Resident Evil series, but you can customize your space. I think my favorite decorative pieces have to be the rugs you can put on the walls and floors, and the various like mutant furs and trophies you can display. And also just this. Also bonus points for the game just being in low poly. It just gives that really cozy, fuzzy PS1/PS2 feelings. And this game is just random. Okay, so now on to what could be improved on. Before we get into this, please keep in mind this was solely created by a 19-year-old who won a Steam reward and beaten a DMCA strike. So anything I say here is purely out of love. My main complaint is you can save scum. I'm not sure if this is an intended feature, but you have to manually save the game since there's no autosave besides after surviving a shining event. And when you do save your game to exit to the main menu and go back, it will retain everything you had since the last run, but the shining counter has reset and you're in a different map. I think it would make more sense if the map and the shining counter did not change between saves until the next shining. You can basically farm resources before you get to progressively harder levels, so by the time you get to the bunkers and apartments, you could be pretty stacked. You'll just have better guns and a larger inventory. This kind of breaks the progression in the game, and furthermore, even if you do manage to die with a pretty stacked inventory, you can simply just save scum by exiting the game without saving, starting you back where you last saved with all your items. I don't want to complain too much here since I think this is fine for people who don't have too much time, but this can certainly break the immersion of the risk and reward feeling. There's just no incentive to be cautious in each enemy encounter. My next complaint is there's just a lot of cheese in this game. With the enemies that I have encountered, they have pretty questionable AI. Like, I've seen instances of bandits just freezing in place and not moving. And, of course, the larger enemies, you can get them stuck on a log or on a ledge and they won't move. Sometimes I've used this to my advantage, which is both immersion ruining and quite funny. But most of the times you just simply outrun the enemies that are pursuing you. I would say the few enemies that truly scare me would be the Plague Doctor, who could just run and gun with a pistol, the giant crawfish, and of course the ghouls and screamers in the bunkers. The enemy AI definitely needs some work to be done, but besides that, I think the tankier enemies should give you rewards like the giant crawfish, the twins, or the rat wolf. I think it would be cool to see the enemies AI have stalking-like behavior, which give you the sense that you're being constantly watched and followed. Another cheesy aspect about this game would just be farming. You can basically print rubles with wheat. I will let you find out how to do that yourself. And my last point is, I wish there was just more to the game. Like, if there was a storyline or end goal, I would even like a few fetch quests from the merchants from the Cesarez. You know, there should be more explorable areas, more weapons. maybe change where you spawn each time, because currently you can just point your compass to the east and you'll find home on the east side of the map. Of course, some of the points that I've already mentioned are in the development roadmap, such as repairing a helicopter as an end goal and just more explorable areas. Alright, so I began recording sometime in early March for this video, but since March 17th, there has been an update to the game. So this part is an addendum to my critique of the game. Okay, so there is a hardcore mode with permadeath, which wipes your save of the run when you die. This kinda solves the save scumming issue, since you can still reset the 20-minute shining counter on a run in order to farm resources. Furthermore, you can customize your run experience, such as if you want permadeath, how rare resources are, and how the weather affects your stamina, etc, etc. The enemy AI still needs work to be done. The clip between the rat wolf and the crawfish fighting, this was recorded during playtesting of the new update, so yeah, this still needs to get fixed. You can of course still cheese rubles with wheat, but the new update also fixed some of the merchants at the Cesarez. For example, you can now sell the rusted guns to the technician trader and find regular guns out in the world, so there's another method of making money. As for content, this update so far just feels like a revamping / changing of existing content, such as adding more components to repair guns, spoiled food, and adding more in-game items to sell to the traders. There are a few new areas, but they are on existing maps, such as the shallow bunker and the bridge area. I would really like to see new weapons and more maps. Of course, these can come in future updates. Speaking of which, a new biome has been announced in this update, being the Mega Factory. I can't wait to explore this area. Maybe I'll have a unique loot pool and maybe unique enemies. Another feature introduced is achievements. This can be fun for people who love achievement hunting. I definitely need to try to get the Herald of Slasiva, which is just surviving 100 days in hardcore. Go and get this game. It's 25% off until March 26th. I think it's exciting to just follow an indie game as it develops over time. I really don't care if this game looks like a tech demo or early access. I see that there's great potential behind the concept shown in this game. So to the developer, Utopia, please keep working on this game as long as your health and sanity permits. I would like to see more come out and hopefully play with my friends. This kind of reminds me of Road to Vostok, which has a similar atmosphere in inventory management, so I soon hope to make a review of this game as well, and it comes out a full release in the next month. Anyways, thank you to my audience for letting me rant about this obscure indie game, which I have very much been infatuated with over the past month. Just thank you for watching. Bye.